Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Pahima. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahima. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalang Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Evam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Desha Tarine. Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarva Avastangatopi Va Ya Smaret Pundarik Akshang Sabhaya Abhyantara Suchi. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Om Ajnana Tamarandasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalang Pangam Langhayate Giri Yat Kripatamahang Vande Sri Gurung Dinataranam. Yat Kripa Tamahang Vande Parama Ananda Madhavam. Trinadapi Sunichena Tarar Iva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kivalam. Klo Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatir Anyata. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Varna Koriho Mane Asha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing our study of the Krishna-lila-sara, the final pastimes of Krishna, which took place here on planet Earth in India 5,000 years ago. This next section that we study today is called the Uddhava Gita. Now, it's not spoken by Uddhava, but what it is a conversation between Uddhava and Krishna just prior to his departure. Of course, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this Uddhava Gita comprises many, many chapters. The bulk of the 11th canto is this whole Uddhava Gita section, many, many chapters. But for our purposes, we're just giving a very concise summary. So let us begin. This is part 1. There are 4 parts. Here is part 1. Shukadeva Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, O favorite son of the Kurus, being thus advised by the personality of Godhead, the Yadavas made up their minds to go to that holy place known as Prabhasa Kshetra, and thus they yoked their horses to their chariots. My dear King Parikshit, Uddhava was a constantly faithful follower of Lord Krishna. Upon seeing the imminent departure of the Yadavas, hearing from them of the Lord's instructions, and taking note of the fearful omens happening in Dwaraka, Uddhava approached the personality of Godhead in a private place. Uddhava bowed down with his head at the lotus feet of the Supreme Controller of the universe, and with folded hands addressed the Lord as follows. O my Lord, O Supreme God amongst all gods, real piety is invoked simply by hearing and chanting your transcendental glories. My Lord, it appears that you will now withdraw your dynasty, and thus you yourself will finally give up your pastimes within this material universe. You are the Supreme Controller and Master of all mystic power. But although you are fully capable of counteracting the Brahmana's curse against your dynasty, you are not doing so. Thus, your disappearance is imminent. O Lord Keshava, my dear master, I cannot tolerate giving up your lotus feet even for a fraction of a moment. I urge you to take me along with you to your own abode. O my dear Krishna, your pastimes are supremely auspicious for mankind. Your pastimes are an intoxicating beverage for the ears. Tasting such pastimes, people forget their desires for other things. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Soul, and thus you are most dear to us. We are your devotees. How can we possibly reject you or live without you even for a moment? Whether we are lying down, sitting, walking, standing, bathing, enjoying, recreating, eating, or doing anything else, constantly we are engaged in your service. Simply by decorating ourselves with the garlands, fragrant oils, clothes, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your meals, we, your servants, will indeed conquer your illusory material energy. Naked sages who seriously endeavor in spiritual practice, who are able to raise their semen upwards, sages who are peaceful and sinless members of the renounced order, attain the spiritual abode known as Brahman. O greatest of mystics, although we are conditioned souls, wandering on the path of fruitive work, we will certainly cross beyond the darkness of this material world simply by hearing about your Lordship in the association of your devotees. Thus, we are always remembering and glorifying the wonderful things you do and the wonderful things you say. We ecstatically recall your amorous pastimes with your confidential conjugal devotees. How you boldly smile and move about while engaging in such youthful pastimes. My dear Lord Krishna, your loving pastimes are bewilderingly similar to the activities of ordinary people within this material world. Shukadeva Goswami then said, O King Parikshit, thus being addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, son of Devaki, began replying confidentially to his dear, unalloyed servant, Uddhava. O greatly fortunate Uddhava, you have accurately revealed my desire to withdraw the Yadu dynasty from the earth and thus return to my own abode in Vaikuntha. Thus, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all other planetary rulers are now praying for me to resume my residence in Vaikuntha. Answering the prayer of Lord Brahma, I descended within this world along with my plenary full portion, Lord Baladev, and performed various activities on behalf of the demigods. I have now completed my mission here. Due to the Brahmana's curse, the Yadu dynasty will certainly perish by fighting among themselves. And on the 7th day from today, the ocean will rise up and inundate the city of Dwaraka. O saintly Uddhava, in the near future, I will abandon this earth. Then, being overwhelmed by the age of Kali, the earth will become bereft of all piety. My dear Uddhava, you should not remain here on earth once I have abandoned this world. My dear devotee, you are sinless. But in Kali Yuga, the people will be addicted to all types of sinful activities. Therefore, do not remain here. Now, you should completely give up all attachment to your personal friends and relatives and fix your mind completely on me. Thus, being always conscious of me, you should observe all things with equal vision and wander throughout the earth. My dear Uddhava, the material universe that you perceive through your mind, speech, eyes, ears, and other senses is only an illusory creation that one imagines to be real due to the influence of Maya. In fact, you should know that all of the objects of the material senses are temporary. One whose consciousness is bewildered by such illusion perceives many differences in value and meaning among various material objects. Thus, one engages constantly on the platform of material good and evil and is bound by such conceptions. Absorbed in material duality, such a person contemplates the performance of compulsory duties, non-performance of such duties, and performance of forbidden activities. Therefore, O Uddhava, bringing all your senses under control, and thus subduing your mind, you should see the entire world as situated within the self who is expanded everywhere. And you should also see this individual self within me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Being fully endowed with conclusive knowledge of the Vedas, and having realized the ultimate purpose of such knowledge in practice, you will be able to perceive the pure self. In this way, your mind will be satisfied. At that time, you will become dear to all living beings, headed by the demigods, and you will never be hampered by any disturbance in life. One who has transcended material good and evil automatically acts in accordance with religious injunctions and avoids forbidden activities. The self-realized person does this spontaneously, like an innocent child, not because one is thinking in terms of material good and evil. One who is the kind well-wisher of all living beings, who is peaceful and firmly fixed in knowledge and realization, sees me within all things. Such a person never again falls down into the cycle of birth and death. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Uddhava Gita, Part 2. Srila Shukadeva Goswami then said, O King Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, thus instructed his pure devotee Uddhava, who was eager to receive knowledge from the Lord. Uddhava then offered obeisances to Krishna and spoke. Being thus questioned by the most affectionate Uddhava, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Controller of all controllers, who takes the entire universe as simply his plaything, and who assumes the three forms, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, began to reply, lovingly displaying his attractive smile. Yes, I shall describe to you, Uddhava, the principles of devotion to me. By executing, a mortal human being will conquer unconquerable death. Always remembering me, one should perform all of one's duties for me without becoming impetuous or unduly hasty or lacking thought or deliberation. With your mind and intelligence offered to me, you should fix your mind in attraction to my devotional service. One should also take shelter of holy places where my saintly devotees reside. And one should be guided by the exemplary activities of my devotees, who appear among the demigods, demons, and human beings. Either alone or in public gatherings, by singing, dancing, and other exhibitions of royal opulence, one should arrange to celebrate those holy days, ceremonies, and festivals set aside especially for my worship. With a pure heart, one should see me, the Supreme Soul, within all beings, and one should see me also within one's own self, to be both unblemished by anything material and also present everywhere, both externally and internally, just like the omnipresent sky. O brilliant Uddhava, one who thus views all living entities with the idea that I am present within each of them, and who, by taking shelter of this divine knowledge, offers due respect to everyone, is considered actually wise. Such a human being sees equally the Brahmana and the outcast, the thief and the charitable performer of Brahminical culture, the sun and the tiny sparks of fire, the gentle and the cruel. For such a person who constantly meditates upon my presence within all persons, the bad tendencies of rivalry, envy, and abusiveness, along with the false ego, are very quickly destroyed. Disregarding the ridicule of one's companions, one should give up the bodily conception and its accompanying embarrassment. One should offer obeisances before everyone, even dogs, outcasts, cows, and asses, falling flat upon the ground like a rod. Until one has fully developed the ability to see me within all living beings, one must continue to worship me by this process with the activities of one's speech, mind, and body. By such transcendental knowledge of the all-pervading personality of Godhead, one is able to see the absolute truth everywhere. Thus, freed from all doubts, one gives up fruitive activities. Indeed, I consider this process, using one's mind, words, and bodily functions for realizing me within all living beings, to be the best method of spiritual enlightenment. My dear Uddhava, because I have personally established it, this process of bhakti yoga, devotional service unto me, is transcendental and free from any material motivation. Certainly, the devotee never suffers even the slightest loss by adopting this process of bhakti. O Uddhava, greatest of saints, in a dangerous situation, an ordinary person cries, becomes fearful, and laments, although such useless emotions do not change the situation. But activities offered to me without personal motivation, even if they are extremely useless, amount to the actual process of religion. This process is the supreme intelligence of the intelligent. It is the cleverness of the most clever. For by following it, one can, in this very life, make use of the temporary and unreal to achieve me, who is the eternal reality. Thus, I have related to you, both in brief and in detail, a complete survey of the science of the absolute truth. Why, even for the demigods, this science is very difficult to comprehend. I have already repeatedly spoken this knowledge to you with clear reasoning. Anyone who properly understands it will become free from all doubts and attain liberation. Anyone who fixes his or her attention on these clear answers to your questions will attain the eternal, confidential goal of the Vedas, namely, the supreme absolute truth. One who liberally disseminates this knowledge among my devotees is the bestower of the absolute truth. And to such a person, I give my very own self. One who loudly recites this supreme knowledge, which is the most lucid and purifying, becomes purified day after day. For such a person reveals me to others with the lamp of transcendental knowledge. Anyone who regularly listens to this knowledge with faith and attention, and all the while engaging in my pure devotional service, will never become bound by the reactions of material work. My dear friend Uddhava, have you now completely understood this transcendental knowledge? Are the confusion and lamentation which arose in your mind now dispelled? You should not share this instruction with anyone who is hypocritical or atheistic or dishonest, or with anyone who will not listen faithfully, or who is not a devotee, or who is simply not humble. This knowledge should be taught to one who is free from these bad qualities and who is dedicated to the welfare of the Brahmanas, and one who is kindly disposed, saintly, and pure. And if common workers or women are found to have devotion for the Supreme Lord, then they are also to be accepted as qualified hearers. When an inquisitive person comes to understand this knowledge, he or she has nothing further to know. After all, one who has drunk the most palatable nectar cannot remain thirsty. Through analytic knowledge, ritualistic work, mystic yoga, mundane business, and political rule, people seek to advance in religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But because you are my devotee, whatever men can accomplish in these multivarious ways, you will very easily find within me. Therefore, a person who gives up all fruitive activities and offers him or herself entirely unto me, eagerly desiring to render service unto me, achieves liberation from birth and death, and is promoted to the status of sharing my own opulences. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We now go to part 3 of the Uddhava Gita. Shukadev Goswami then said, hearing these words spoken by Lord Krishna, and having thus been shown the entire path of yoga, Uddhava folded his hands to offer obeisances. But his throat choked up with love, and his eyes overflooded with tears, so he could not say anything. Steadying his mind, which had become overwhelmed with love, Uddhava felt extremely grateful to Lord Krishna, the greatest hero of the Yadu dynasty. My dear King Parikshit, Uddhava bowed down to touch the Lord's lotus feet with his head, and then spoke with folded hands. O unborn primeval Lord, although I had fallen into the great darkness of illusion, my ignorance has now been dispelled by your merciful association. How can cold, darkness, and fear exert their power over one who has approached the brilliant sun? In return for my insignificant surrender, you have mercifully bestowed upon me, your servant, the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Therefore, what devotee of yours who has any gratitude could ever give up your lotus feet and take shelter of another master? The firmly binding rope of my affection for the families of the Dasharhas, Vrishnis, Andakas, and Sattvatas, a rope you originally cast over me by your illusory energy for the purpose of developing your creation, that is now cut off by the weapon of transcendental knowledge of the self. O Lord, obeisances unto you, O greatest of yogis. Please instruct me, for I am surrendered unto you. Tell me how I may have undeviating attachment to your lotus feet. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, then replied, My dear Uddhava, take my order and go to my ashram known as Badarika. Purify yourself by touching and also bathing in the holy waters which have emanated from my lotus feet. Rid yourself of all sinful reactions with the sight of the sacred Alakananda river. Dress yourself in bark and eat whatever is naturally available in the forest. In this way, you should remain content and free from desire, tolerant of all the dualities, behaving good-natured, self-controlled, peaceful, and endowed with transcendental knowledge and realization. With fixed attention, meditate constantly upon these instructions which I have imparted to you, and assimilate their essence. Fix your words and thoughts upon me, and always endeavor to increase your realization of my transcendental qualities. In this way, you will cross beyond the destinations of the three modes of nature and finally come back to me. Final episode for today, part 4. Shukadeva Goswami then said, thus, addressed by Lord Krishna, whose intelligence destroys all suffering in this material world, Sri Uddhava circumambulated Krishna and then fell down, placing his head upon the Lord's feet. Although Uddhava was free from the influence of all material dualities, his heart was breaking, and at this time of departure, Uddhava drenched Krishna's lotus feet with his tears. Greatly fearing separation from Krishna, for whom Uddhava felt such indestructible affection, Uddhava was distraught and could not give up Krishna's company. Finally, feeling great pain, Uddhava bowed down to Krishna again and again, placing the slippers of his master upon his head, and then departed. Thereupon, placing Krishna deeply within his heart, the great devotee Uddhava went to Badarika ashram. By engaging in austerities, Uddhava attained to Krishna's personal abode, which had been described to him by the only friend of the universe, Lord Krishna himself. Thus, Lord Krishna, whose lotus feet are served by all great yoga masters, spoke to his devotee this nectarian knowledge which comprises the entire ocean of spiritual bliss. Anyone within this universe who receives this narration with great faith is assured of liberation. I offer my obeisances to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original and greatest of all beings, Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna is the author of the Vedas, and just to destroy his devotees' fear of material existence, like a bee, Krishna has collected this nectarian essence of all knowledge and self-realization. Krishna has awarded to his many devotees this nectar from the ocean of bliss, and by Krishna's mercy they have drunk it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namaste Narasimhaya, Prahlad Aklada Dayane, Hiranya Kashipur Vaksha, Shilatangana Khalaye, Ito Nrsinga Parato Nrsingho, Yato Yamitato Nrsingha, Bahir Nrsingho, Hridaye Nrsingho, Nrsingham Adim Sharanang Prapadye, Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Sringang, Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanuvringam, Keshavadrita Narahadi Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Keshavadrita Nrsimha Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om